All new Dr. Phil. Defunding the police.
It's a complete disaster.
There's chaos at night. There's fires, there's shootings and stabbings. We don't have enough police.
Helpful cause?
People will do desperate things in order to survive. You're not solving anything by arresting those people.
Or harmful ideal. We're not trying to win an argument, we're trying to solve a problem. Let's do it.
Have a good show, everybody. Here we go.
This is a safe place to talk about hard things.
Stand by. We'll count you down.
Today is going to be a changing day in your life.
5, 4.
Get ready to take care of you. Defund the police. It was a rallying cry of the Black Lives Matter movement and their allies in the wake of the tragic murder of George Floyd. It was a call to action against the undeniable brutality of some, but not all police, and the disproportionate targeting of Black Americans in arrests, shootings, and killings that dredged up feelings of distrust and criticism of law enforcement in general. Now, some major cities heeded passionate demands and declared they were cutting and redirecting money away from police budgets and removing officers from the streets. 2 years later, some are saying it's been a dangerous debacle, a flawed experiment that led to unprecedented levels of crime and violence in cities that cut and/or diverted law enforcement budgets. Others are calling bullcrap on that, saying it's all part of a national misinformation campaign to divert attention away from the real issues and the communities who not only need police protection, but also need protecting from those charged with guarding their safety and security.
When I say defund, you say police, defund! Police! Defund! Police!
The movement to defund the police is about a radical reimagining of the way that we address social problems in this country. Police budgets have grown, so what we see is over-policing that does not actually affect the ways in which crime play out.
Seattle, we were dealing with the struggles and the challenges of dealing with the defund the police movement, and then had to work very hard to address this area of, for lack of a better word, lawlessness that came as a result.
There's been a lot of misinformation about what defund is. And maybe that's because we picked a bad thing to name it. It is not about taking all of the money from the police right now. This is not true. Defund is about interrupting so-called crime.
We need to refund the police. Police are demoralized and criminals are emboldened. The lack of training is devastating for police officers. Police officers who are not properly trained end up hurting people on the streets. They can learn how to de-escalate situations. The defund the police movement is wrong.
I have for several years studied this societal situation, a fair amount, actually. And in fact, have even hired a team of research analysts who have really been digging into the complex issues involved. Now, before we're done today, I'm going to tell you what the facts are and what scientific research tells us about this whole issue. You may like what I have to say, and you may not, but it's time somebody stopped the spinning and told you the facts and what it all means to you and your family, whether you're white, black, or brown. Now, joining me today are Kat Brooks, Executive Director of the Justice Teams Network and co-founder of the Anti-Police Terror Project, the longest-running defunding police project in the country, along with Michael Denzel Smith, award-winning author, writer-in-residence at Hunter College, and podcast host. I'm also pleased to welcome Carmen Best, former Seattle police chief and now author of Black in Blue, Lessons on Leadership, Breaking Barriers, and Racial Reconciliation. Also joining me is Mark Powell, a former Reserve San Diego police officer and former vice president of the San Diego County Office of Education. So thank all of you for being here. I appreciate it. I'm not sure that defund the police was the best terminology or that it got interpreted exactly the way it was originally intended. So I'm curious how you guys feel about it. I'll start with you as a former police chief. What's your take on all this?
Yeah, well, just as you said, Dr. Phil, one of the things that I thought was quite confusing from the beginning was when you say defund the police, depending upon whom you're talking to, it means different things to different people. So some people would say it means divest and invest in other areas. Some people say it means abolish. And so we needed to at least have a clear definition to actually figure out what are we talking about when we say that. I do think that, as I've heard many times before, people want, when police respond, they want officers to be fair and just and have equity. The melanin in your skin should not determine the service of police service that you get. However, the facts bear out that there is disparity. So we need to find a path forward to reduce that disparity, to eliminate it, but also recognize that we've made a lot of movement and advancement, and we need to continue to work on that in a practical manner that makes all of us here safer.
When we're talking about a society where 1 in every 1,000 Black men can expect to be killed by law enforcement, we have not made progress. When we talk about a society where Black folks, in particular, make up the majority of people that are profiled, targeted, incarcerated by our criminal legal system, we are not talking about progress. Some things that I do want to address. Actually, there was not confusion about what defund means until law enforcement inserted that confusion. What I can say is that organizers, creators of this movement were always very clear that it was about redirecting resources to things that actually keep us safe.
Well, it might have been clear in the conference room. It might have been clear when y'all were meeting about it, but it wasn't clear on the streets, and it wasn't clear with all the people that took up the message and found a camera to stand in front of. Because I can show you 1,000 images that have the word abolish with defund. So the message got hijacked is my point.
When you're saying, suddenly we see people talking about abolish, well, defunding comes from an abolitionist perspective,
That's right.
right? It is a long-term project that says, how do we create the conditions under which policing would not be necessary? And defund is the policy that says, well, a city budget has this much money going to police and this smaller amount of money going toward roads, towards housing, towards schools, towards recreation. Why don't we take some of this money over here, move it over here? What we're trying to accomplish is, again, what does it mean for communities to actually be safe? And what we've shown time and time again is that more funding toward policing does not work. The question is, to me, it's not about whether or not you support defunding. It's like, what does the budget look like, and how many officers will there need to be in order for you to eliminate crime? Like, can that question be answered?
Yeah, well,
Okay, well, hang on. We've got to take a break, and I'll start with you when we come back. A Seattle resident who says their neighborhood has become hell on earth ever since the city council pledged to defund the police in 2020. We're going to meet her after the break. We'll start with you right after the break. Mark, you say San Diego is down 300 officers.
Yes, that's correct.
Has it had an effect?
It's been a horrible effect. The defunding plan has failed. It's a complete disaster.
And later,
I would argue that there are much more stringent vetting of police officers than, say, your school teachers, your medical doctor, your bus driver, your postal worker.
All of those other professions do not have the ability to make a decision in a half a second of whether they're going to shoot somebody or not.
Coming January 21st.
The Samuels are looking to the D word, divorce, separate, something like that.
Did they say divorce or separate?
What?
We just had a whole show prep with our producer, and no one told me we was gonna bring us up live on the air today.
She says that her and her husband are trying to fix their marriage and denying any divorce rumors.
All marriages go through stuff. Does that mean we're separated, getting divorced? Absolutely not.
Love and Marriage DC. New episodes Saturday, January 21st at 8/7 Central.
This is Marianne's first time visiting Paris.
Madame, où allez-vous?
Before Marianne packed her bags, before she attempted her first sentence in French, before she completed her first 15-minute lesson.
Yes.
She downloaded Babbel. Babbel helped unlock her lifelong dream of learning French. She started speaking in just 3 weeks. So when it came time to tell the cab driver to take her to the Hotel Pierre,
J'aimerais aller à l'Hôtel Pierre.
Oh, c'est très bien. J'espère que votre voyage s'est bien passé.
150 language experts and educators designed Babbel to be the most efficient and effective way to learn a new language. Babbel focuses on natural conversation. You'll remember what you learn, and you can speak and pronounce with confidence. Start speaking a new language in 3 weeks. Try it for free at Babbel.com.
Let the chips fall where they may.
There are some things that I've heard.
I think he's a fraud, and I don't think he's a good person.
It's only gonna get worse. I ain't gonna do this with everybody.
This is too much.
Ready to Love. New episode Friday, 8/7 Central.
Come on, open book.
Okay, open book.
The 3-part reunion concludes.
She is the definition of the devil. You have a dark soul. Oh.
Damn, Tisha.
Damn. You don't want to miss.
Oh, you talking about when you hacked his phone?
What the f? Oh, I'm gonna get past it.
You are changing so many lives.
This.
I'm very concerned about you.
Love and Marriage Huntsville New Reunion Part 3, Saturday at 8/7 Central.
The Seattle PD is struggling under the public backlash. 20% of the force have left in the past year and a half.
I chair the African American Community Advisory for the Seattle Police Department. It's a tough role to have. A lot of people have turned on me, call me a cop lover, traitor. Not a fan of defunding the Seattle Police Department. Yes, we need to hold them accountable, but we need our police department. We're in crisis right now in Seattle.
Whose streets are streets?
It's a free-for-all here. If you want to commit a crime, come to Seattle and you'll get away with it.
Joining us from Seattle, the city she calls home, is Victoria. So, Victoria, thanks for being here today.
Thank you.
Why do you blame what's happening to Seattle on defunding the police?
I think people do misunderstand that word, and it's right there with abolishing the police. Once city council started talking about defunding the police, hell broke out. It's unsafe here. We've lost 300 to 400 officers. We're in crisis, and I think we're doomed. I don't even know if we can get back to where we were.
Well, Mark, you say San Diego is down 300 officers.
Yes, that's correct.
Has it had an effect?
It's been a horrible effect. The defunding plan has failed. It's a complete disaster. Our police are less safe, and the neighborhoods that need police the most are the ones that most affected, because it's the neighborhoods that are underserved, the underserved populations that need police. They can't afford to pay for pricey private securities or high-end surveillance cameras. Those are the people that are suffering, and make no mistake about it. Defund means take away money from police that were already running on tight budgets anyways. They didn't have enough money to do proper training. You know, officers have to have training. If you don't want the things to happen that you're claiming happens, then you have to train officers properly, and you have to
$1 bazillion in training, $1 bazillion in cultural competency training, $1 bazillion in body cameras, $1 bazillion in all these things, and nothing has bared out. And I'm wondering
Your
which plan,
program
because
made
the vast
crime
majority
go
of
up.
American
Your
cities
program
have
made
not
crime go up.
defunded.
Yes.
It just has not happened.
Crime has gone up.
That's just a mistruth. Defunding has just not happened. I'm sorry.
We're not trying to win an argument. We're trying to solve a problem here. Let me ask the question here. Isn't it true that defunding pretty much across the board didn't really happen?
Yes, that's what's true.
Well,
budgets were reduced.
New York lost $1 billion.
But at least in LA, budgets were temporarily reduced. Most of the reduction was replaced with overtime with the officers they had, or the reduction was part of a citywide reduction. And most of the defunding diversion or reduction was regained the next year. So there hasn't really been a defunding of the
In some cases,
police.
I think, Dr. Phil, respectfully, I think in some cases budgets were reduced. I think part of the reason that some of the budgets were replaced and more money was given in because they saw the rise in crime and the rise in issues and wanted to
mitigate some of those
So the money came back.
And also,
Some of it.
Dr. Phil, when you have 9% inflation and gas prices that were pushing $10 a gallon in Los Angeles, and you leave the police budget the same, when health care goes up, when food prices go up, and you have these, everything went up. And my point is, by not adding money, you're just defunding them just by regular economics.
To those problems, police.
And adding money from where? Law enforcement in every major municipality across this country has the majority of the general funds. And I'll tell you all this. Anything you want, from fixing potholes to cleaning up your parks, when your electeds tell you they don't have the money, it's because badges and guns have that money. And I want to talk about this. I think this is critical to establish on the show. People want to blame defund, which just did not happen in any significant degree across the country. That's just not true. On the rise in crime. The spike in crime happened because the economic pandemic came hot on the heels of the coronavirus pandemic, which means that people that were housing secure became more housing insecure or homeless. People that were food insecure became more food insecure or starving. When we do not address people's basic needs and we force people to make a living underground, you're going to see a spike in crime. So defund hit the streets the same time as the economic pandemic did, but defund did not cause the spike in crime.
Dr. Phil, can I say something?
Yes, go ahead.
It absolutely did do something. I can't even tell you how many times I've been in stores where people walk in, and it's not food, it's alcohol, clothes. And there was one woman, and I confronted her and I said, "Put it back." And she said, "No." I said, "Well, I'm calling the police." And she laughed. She goes, "They won't show up. You don't have enough of them," which is true.
What would you say if I told you that police calls, 911 calls for violent crime make up approximately 5% of the calls that police departments get in every single city?
Diminish the other
hold
call.
on, and you're exactly right. There are about 10 million arrests per year. 80% of them are for nonviolent crimes. Less than 5% are for violent crimes. And your point is what?
My point is that if we stop utilizing police to be the answer to every single social ill we have, which, by the way, they're not very good at doing, we redirect those resources, pay people living wage jobs to be able to go out and respond to things like mental health crisis, to substance abuse issues, to towing cars, to animal control. Police will be able to respond to violent crime.
Well,
but that is not what is happening, and you don't need over half of the city's general fund to just go focus on violent crime.
We have to take a break. When we come back, I have a question for you. We're also going to meet a local resident of a city just 7 miles from Rodeo Drive, the 10th most expensive street in the world. He says that 3 in 5 residents or business owners have been attacked, assaulted, robbed, or know someone who has. We'll be right back.
When you defund the police, you prevent them from having enough money to provide themselves with the mental health services they need.
We've got officers in Oakland that are making between $350,000 to $420,000 a year. And brother, I'm so glad you were sitting here and that was your experience. The facts are, however, that upwards of 50% of people that are murdered by law enforcement are in the middle of a mental health crisis.
Do you want your man or not? Do you know your plans or not? You gonna go back home or not? You gonna claim your throne or not? Is you Khaleesi or that other name I don't remember?
People gonna talk in D.C.
Yo, we coming.
They're claiming the Samuels are looking to divorce.
Him and his dad are not speaking.
Wait.
Welcome.
We're gonna be out on our own little island. It's called peace.
I'm gonna go before I whip your ass. Sisterhood just went out the window.
I'm back. And own that. I don't talk
Again and again and again. Love and Marriage DC returns Saturday, January 21st at 8/7 Central.
Let the chips fall where they may. Tension's gonna fly.
Everybody's dating each other, but everybody knows they're dating each other.
Your directness is getting out of hand.
When I saw that, I was like, oh, well.
If you're looking for a man, say amen.
Amen.
There are some things that I've heard.
So embarrassing.
Okay, sweetheart.
Next. I think he's a fraud, and I don't think he's a good person.
It's only gonna get worse. I ain't gonna do this with everybody.
This is too much.
Ready to Love. New episode Friday, 8/7 Central.
Does your bank invest for you? I bet it doesn't. Acorn's checking does. It's banking for the growth-minded. Acorns. Grow your own.
Introducing Analon X, the only non-stick cookware engineered for flavor. Make it exquisite with our patented SearTech surface that holds oil in the center of the pan and caramelizes like cast iron. Make it delicious with our thick edge-to-edge steel base that retains heat and sears evenly. Make it with cookware designed to bring out every nuance and every flavor. Shop now and get free shipping at analonx.com.
Come on, open book.
Okay, open book.
The 3-part reunion concludes.
She is the definition of the devil. You have a dark soul. Oh.
Damn, Tisha.
Damn.
You don't want to miss.
Oh, you talking about when you hacked his phone?
What the
Oh, I'm gonna get past it.
You are changing so many lives.
This.
I'm very concerned about you.
Love and Marriage Huntsville New Reunion Part 3. Saturday at 8/7 Central.
Sunday.
I wish he didn't feel this way.
I think Usman played my mom.
Can we talk about the elephant in the room?
What is the elephant in the room?
Happily Ever After Tell-All. No Limits. All new. Sunday at 8 on TLC.
As violent crime increases, the city of Denver is scrambling to hire more police officers. Denver has fewer officers today than it had in 2008, and it's impacting their ability to respond to your calls.
Our officers are struggling to address the 911 calls for service. We're seeing significant increases in homicides and shootings and burglaries. I have had officers that have retired recently that do point to elected officials that have stated defund, abolish the police department. We're looking for good people with big hearts that want to serve their community. That is it.
John, you live 20 minutes from this studio in Santa Monica, which is just 7 miles away from the second most expensive street in the country, 10th most expensive in the world, Rodeo Drive. Now, if you looked up Santa Monica in a guidebook a few years ago, it might have been described as a beautiful, family-friendly beach town with a long stretch of white beach, a shopping district, a pier, an amusement park. How would you describe it today?
Today, Dr. Phil, it's chaos. We don't have enough police. Right now, we should be at around 230, 240 for a population of 72,000 people. We're barely at 175. There's chaos at night. There's fires, there's shootings and stabbings. It's a dangerous area. Even city employees are being attacked.
I want to introduce y'all to a man who wouldn't even be sitting here today if it weren't for the police. He says he once feared the police until one talked him off the ledge, literally. He now dedicates his life to advocating for suicide prevention and law enforcement. So, Kevin, thanks for joining us.
Appreciate you, sir. Thanks for having me.
You had a life-changing experience with
Absolutely,
the police.
I did.
What happened?
March 11, 2005, I was overwhelmed. I had spent 22 years not dealing with my pain, lying about who I was. Born and raised in Oakland, California, never talked about mental health, never talked about anything that had anything to do about feelings, emotions, and I got overwhelmed that day. And I drove myself to the Golden Gate Bridge, and on that day, I literally got out there. And the only thing that stopped me was that officer, who I never even know. At the time, I didn't even know he was an officer. I thought he was a human being. Later on, got to meet him 8 years later and found out he was an officer, and it changed my perspective of how I looked at law enforcement. I used to call them cops. Now I call them law enforcement because I realize they are human beings and they're flawed, and you know they make mistakes. but they're not trained. The key word of what he said, they're not trained for certain things. They're trained to handle, they're trained to supposedly handle situations, but they're not trained to handle how they feel about themselves. They're trying to figure out their own lives along with having this job that expects them not to be human. And I think that we have to understand their point of view too, now that I've been on both sides of it.
Right. So how long did this stranger talk to you?
92 minutes.
Oh, specifically?
Yeah, 92 minutes.
And he got you to walk away.
Dr. Phil, could I just speak to that for a second with law enforcement? Because most police officers die because of suicide that are on duty. They don't die because they're hit by a car. They don't die because they were shot by a suspect. They take their own lives. And when you defund the police, you prevent them from having enough money to provide themselves with the mental health services they need.
I'm sorry, law enforcement officers, we make so much money. We've got officers in Oakland that are making between $350,000 to $420,000 a year. And brother, I'm so glad you were sitting here and that was your experience. The facts are, however, that upwards of 50% of people that are murdered by law enforcement are in the middle of a mental health crisis. And when you intersect that with blackness or brownness, the numbers go incredibly more up.
How are you going to solve a mental health crisis? Hold on.
Let me ask one question. You should send community like mental health.
How are you going to? Hold on a second. How are you going to address mental health by taking money away from police officers?
There's so much going to the police. I'm saying, can you take some of it and give it to other things so that we are preventing, because police do not prevent. They are not enough of a deterrent.
You're driving down the freeway and you see a highway patrol officer on the freeway, you slow down.
No, many people don't.
Closed captioning provided by...
Let the chips fall where they may.
Tension's gonna fly. Everybody's dating each other, but everybody knows they're dating each other.
Your directness is getting out of hand.
When I saw that, I was like, oh, well.
If you're looking for a man, say amen.
Amen.
There are some things that I've heard.
It's so embarrassing.
Okay, sweetheart.
Next. I think he's a fraud, and I don't think he's a good person.
It's only gonna get worse. I ain't gonna do this with everybody.
This is too much.
Ready to Love. New episode Friday, 8/7 Central.
For bathroom odors that linger, try Febreze Small Spaces. Just press firmly, and it continuously fights odors in the air and on soft surfaces for 45 days.
Any questions, Chris?
All good. Thanks, Maura. There you go. One new inhaler.
Nice. Did you get my refill too?
Maybe.
Healthier is auto refills and delivery made easy.
You're a lifesaver.
So nice day.
I think it's my time to find love.
I want to date younger men.
I'm as sexual as I was in my teens.
Where's all the men at?
Here we go.
It just got real.
Turn it up now.
They dominate renovations. Now Twin Titans clash for real estate supremacy. With one rule.
There are none.
Legacies are on the line.
Game on.
Brother vs. Brother premieres tonight at 9 on HGTV.
Come on, open book.
Okay, open book.
The 3-part reunion concludes.
She is the definition of the devil. You have a dark soul. Oh.
Damn, Tisha.
Damn.
You don't want to miss.
Oh, you talking about when you hacked his phone?
What the f?
Oh, I'm gonna get past it.
You are changing so many lives.
This.
I'm very concerned about you.
Love and Marriage Huntsville New Reunion Part 3, Saturday at 8/7 Central.
Do you want your man or not? Do you know your plans or not? You gonna go back home or not? You gonna claim your throne or not? Is you Khaleesi or that other name I don't remember?
Coming January 21st.
The Samuels are looking to the D word, divorce, separate, something like that.
Did they say divorce or separate? What? We just had a whole show prep with our producer, and no one told me we was gonna bring us up live on the air today.
She says that her and her husband are trying to fix their marriage of denying any divorce rumors.
All marriages go through stuff. Does that mean we're separated, getting divorced? Absolutely not.
Love and Marriage DC. New episodes Saturday, January 21st at 8/7 Central. Starting Friday.
You gotta get with it or get lost.
Ready to Love returns with new episodes, followed by the new series, All the Single Ladies.
You ladies have decided?
I am a prize. Friday at 8/7 Central. Part of Real Drama Weekends on OWN.
you going to address mental health by taking money away from police officers? You're talking about two separate things. You're not talking about...
By funding mental health
Well,
programs.
fund it, but don't take it from the cops.
I agree.
So
where else to take it from? If I might interject here, there does need to be an investment and people who can deal with people who are mental health crisis. And I would agree with you that maybe the officers aren't the best responder, but once a person's decided that, you know, they're gonna run around their apartment and chase people with a machete or whatever that thing is, where it becomes violent, you do need a police response. I wouldn't want my 30-year-old daughter to have to
I'll tell you why.
to come in.
Let me answer that from a mental health perspective.
Yeah, right.
When you have someone in an agitated, even a psychotic episode, you truly need a mental health professional to deal with that. But there are times that those people become homicidal, become self-destructive, and you do need someone there with authority and the ability to stop that person in their tracks if that's what's necessary. But they're not the ones to be doing what you're talking about, and you're not ever going to train them to do that.
Exactly. Right. Nor do we want to. What's crucial about your story that you just told was that you said for 22 years, you did not feel like you had a place to talk about your feelings.
Absolutely not.
When we talk about policing, we're already too late. At every issue, at every junction, we're talking about something that's too late, that we have not funded, that we have not addressed as a social ill, that we have defunded over and over again. If we're talking about a police officer responding to a rape, there's already been a rape. That's the problem. And the police officer did not prevent that. The funding for the police officers did not prevent that.
Well,
so
what
we're talking about is that the police, when I say defund the police, what I am saying is that there's so much going to the police. I'm saying, can you take some of it? Some of it, and give it to other things, so that we are preventing, because police do not prevent. They are not enough of a deterrent to prevent the things that...
You're driving down the freeway and you see a highway patrol officer on the freeway, you slow down.
No, many people don't.
No, they slow down, and when you see a cop in a parking lot, people will probably not want to do a crime right when their cop is there. You need more police.
You would need police everywhere then, if that's the
issue
scenario
that
you
you're
lay
bringing
out.
up, if you want to, the issue you're bringing up is there hasn't been enough investment in mental health. There has not been enough. We need to invest more.
Things, not just mental health. We're talking about housing.
I think what the issue is that it doesn't have to be either or.
But
we need to recognize.
No, you're right. It doesn't. I'm sorry. It doesn't need to be either or. But right now, the police, the either or is
service, and we also need to recognize
Oakland
the value
Department
of
of
these
Violence
other
Prevention gets $17 million.
If you would allow me to finish, because I will sit
million.
here and listen to you as long as you'd like.
I just want the truth to be told.
And I would do nothing but tell the truth.
But you're not.
It doesn't have to be one or the other.
I was actually in conference with the United States Surgeon General this morning, talking about the very things you guys are talking about, that emphasis needs to be put in these areas. And it's not either or. So where do we go from here? What is the solution? Is there a solution? I'm the incurable optimist.
Me too.
We'll be right back. You're talking about a public health issue, and you guys are talking about a law enforcement issue, and both of them are legitimate societal needs. And Michael, you're not saying that we don't need police, that...
Oh, I am.
Closed captioning provided by...
Spruce up your home with fresh new looks from Ashley. You'll find everything you need to brighten up your home this new year. Plus, get special financing for 12 months. Only at America's #1 furniture and mattress store. Visit your local Ashley store or ashley.com to shop and save today.
It's not subtle. Now you can give them what they've always wanted. Real food for dogs. Caesar Wholesome Bowls and Simply Crafted. Caesar, love them back.
Peaceful state. Full plate. Wait, are you my blind date? Dancing crew, trip for two, now the final interview. Buy or lease. Masterpiece. Inside joke. Artichoke. Game with Doug. Brand new mug. Come here, kid. Give me a hug. Have you gotten your updated COVID-19 booster? They're designed to help protect against recent Omicron variants. Schedule yours at vaccines.gov.
Alice loves the scent of Gain so much, she wished there was a way to make it last longer. Say hello to your fairy godmother, Alice, and long-lasting Gain scent beads. Try Gain Odor Defense. Be gone, smelly everything.
If your instinct is to help, then clearly you care. You have what it takes to be a care professional. Home instead. Apply now.
Let the chips fall where they may. Tension's gonna fly.
Everybody's dating each other, but everybody knows they're dating each other.
Your directness is getting out of hand.
When I saw that, I was like, oh, well. If you're looking for a man, say amen.
Amen.
There are some things that I've heard.
It's so embarrassing.
Case sweetheart.
Next. I think he's a fraud, and I don't think he's a good person.
It's only gonna get worse. I ain't gonna do this with everybody.
This is too much.
Ready to Love. New episode Friday, 8/7 Central.
Do you want your man or not? Do you know your plans or not? You gonna go back home or not? You gonna claim your throne or not? Is you Khaleesi or that other name I don't remember?
All these young, untimely deaths.
For your kid, fame can be poisonous. He shared with me something, I hesitate to even say it.
The Price of Glee, 3-part limited series. Monday at 9 on ID.
Coming January 21st.
I'm back. Life has been pretty busy for winter. No more Kevin. Kevin is gone.
Your new song.
So a new hit.
The new song. What is
Listen,
it? Tell me about the song.
It's centered around gutter Barbies.
Gutter Barbie.
Yes.
What's that?
In the midst of my frustrations, I referred to Arena and Ashley as gutter Barbies.
Love and Marriage DC. New episodes Saturday, January 21st at 8/7 Central.
Come on, open book.
Okay, open book.
The 3-part reunion concludes.
She is the definition of the devil. You have a dark soul. Oh.
Damn, Tisha.
Damn.
You don't want to miss.
Oh, you talking about when you hacked his phone?
What the f?
Oh, I'm gonna get past it.
You are changing so many lives.
This.
I'm very concerned about you.
Love and Marriage Huntsville New Reunion Part 3, Saturday at 8/7 Central.
I mentioned that I was speaking with Dr. Murthy this morning about what you guys are saying, and it doesn't need to be either or. There's a point at which law enforcement and public health intersect. And you're talking about a public health issue, and you guys are talking about a law enforcement issue, and both of them are legitimate societal needs. And Michael, you're not saying we don't need police, that
Oh, I am.
if someone is doing a home invasion or committing an armed robbery, you don't think there's a role for police to intervene?
What your question is presuming is a world as it exists currently, right? And so when I say, oh, I don't believe there's a need for police, what I'm saying is that there has been so little investment in creating the conditions under which police would not be necessary. And that is the issue. That is the holistic issue. And people are creations of the society in which they live in. And if you are a society that has such massive inequality, and you are a society that is based on racial and gendered hierarchies, and you are a society that deprives people of the resources that they need to live, talking about housing, clean water, food, all of these things that are part of an equitable society. You're talking about people that will do desperate things in order to survive. And so you're not solving anything by arresting those people. You're not solving anything by shooting and killing those people.
I agree with you 100% on society's failures about how that person became a criminal. My point is we also live in the here and now. And if someone invades my home and has my wife held hostage in the bedroom tonight, I don't give two about where they came from tonight. What I care about is a solution tonight. That doesn't mean that we don't need to solve the problem so my grandchildren don't get held hostage in their bedrooms 20 years from now. But when you say we don't need police because of developmental failures, that doesn't solve the problems that are occurring tonight, tomorrow night, the next night. Those things have to be dealt with.
I hear you. I truly, and I'm not being, I hear you. That is the fear that continues to drive us toward more policing.
No, that is the reality in which we live. That's not a fear.
Yes,
fear
it is
the
fear
anxiety or
based on
anticipation of something that may happen. Being is something that is happening, and we have to have guardrails. We have to have someone to turn to. We have to have someone on the end of 911.
If you Walmart, you know. With everyday low prices, your dollar goes even further. So you can do more with the people you love. You spend a little less to get a little more. To make life a little better.
There's nothing like volunteering at the fire department.
There's nothing like hitting the waves.
But with my moderate to severe eczema, it hasn't always been easy.
Since my skin was so irritated and itchy.
And even worse with all my gear on.
Now, I'm staying ahead of my eczema.
There's a power inside all of us to live our passion. And Dupixent works on the inside to help heal your skin from within. It helps block a key source of inflammation inside the body that can cause eczema. So adults can have long-lasting, clearer skin and fast itch relief. Serious allergic reactions can occur that can be severe. Tell your doctor about new or worsening eye problems such as eye pain or vision changes, including blurred vision, joint aches and pain, or a parasitic infection. Don't change or stop asthma medicines without talking to your doctor.
Healing from within is a powerful thing.
Ask your eczema specialist how Dupixent can help heal your skin from within.
Do you like chocolate bars?
How do I do it all? With a little help. And to support my family's immune health, I choose Airborne. Unlike some others, Airborne gives you vitamin C and so much more. It's an 8-in-1 immune support formula. Airborne, do more.
With Acorns, every time you spend, you invest. Buying a hot dog? That's investing. Getting gas? That's investing. Getting treats? That's investing. Start investing with just your spare change.
These underwear are pee-proof and period-proof and sweat.
The searing way easier compared to my old nonstick pans.
It cooks really evenly, so there's no hot spots, so everything turns out amazing.
Overall, things taste much better.
Shop now and get free shipping at enronx.com.
You don't want to miss.
You have a dark soul.
Oh, I'm gonna get past it.
You are changing lives.
This.
I'm very concerned about you.
Love and Marriage Huntsville, New Reunion Part 3, Saturday at 8/7 Central.
People gonna talk in D.C.
They're claiming the Samuels are looking to divorce. I'm back and own that. And again, and again, and again.
Love and Marriage DC returns Saturday, January 21st at 8/7 Central.
Lori, talk to me about your son-in-law.
So I was basically a person who 10 years ago, if you asked me if there were racial issues or inequalities or if certain people were targeted more than others, I was naive and I would say, oh, absolutely not. But fast forward, my kids are now grown. My daughter's married to an African-American man. And it amazes me how much time is spent interacting with him when he doesn't need to be interacted with. If she gets pulled over for a speeding ticket and he's in the passenger seat, you can bet he's going to come out of the passenger seat. He's going to get checked out. And that would not happen to me if I got pulled over and my boyfriend was in the car with me, because he's a white middle-aged man. And my fear is that now I have grandchildren who are, you know, biracial, but if they're not with me or with my daughter, they're identified as African-American children. And their dad thinks that they have to be above reproach on everything they do, or else their life depends on it.
I understand that completely. I have grandchildren too.
Right.
They're biracial as well. So those issues, I'm not negating them. Right. They're actually real issues. Here's where we disagree a little bit. I don't think that you can just land all those racial issues and put them on the police department itself. Because police departments recruit from society. And in fact, I would argue that there are much more stringent vetting of police officers than, say, your school teachers, your medical doctor, your bus driver, your postal worker.
All of those other professions do not have the ability to make a decision in a half a second of whether they're going to shoot somebody or not.
But
and
they
that's
have
the
the ability
Thank you, Lori,
to,
actually, for bringing us back to the point, because
Yeah.
I want to do something
But
I
they
should have
do
done
have
at
the
the top of
ability
the
to
show.
affect the
Natasha
life.
McKenna,
They absolutely
Tamir
do.
Rice,
They do.
Rashario Mack, Oscar Grant, Mario Woods. I could go on and on, because what I do every day, is hold or listen to or comfort women that have been raped and families that have lost their loved ones to the unthinkable. That is what happens. And so when we talk about law enforcement humanity, I understand we need to have that conversation, and I'd agree that we need to deal with their trauma. But when they're having a human moment, that far too often means we end up dead.
But let me explain something that's going to happen if you defund the police. Some other organization is going to take over the responsibility, and it's either going to be a gang, organized crime, it could be anybody. But if you defund the police and you have people feeling less safe in their neighborhood, somebody is going to patrol that neighborhood, and you may not like what they do.
Desmond, what do you want to say?
We need to be, in my opinion, as somebody who studies education, a little bit more careful. Because I know it's hard to remember, but we actually are on the same side here. Do we want a safer community? Same side as far as my concern, right? So it's now gotten to the point, though, where there is so much unedited discourse that you're worsening the problem based on how we're talking, right? We have defund the police. We have somebody in education. I have students saying, oh yeah, we do not need a police force at all right now. There is a here and now where we do need police force. There's also preventative measures that we can take in education, right? That can prevent these things from happening in the first place. Is working together that out of the question?
When you've got law enforcement agencies that target people like me with misinformation and lies and put targets on our back, I don't know how then I sit down at the table with that person.
Okay, valid. Let me.
You can always sit down, but
I mean, I've asked.
And this is a discussion here. I wanted you here.
I know.
I asked you to come here.
Thank you very much. I appreciate that.
All right, we've been discussing defunding the police. What happened and what needs to happen now? I said I was going to share with you where I saw this. I'm going to do that after the break. Closed captioning provided by...
Something about the Playboy brand had a little bit more of a mystique to it.
It's a ticket to the highlight.
Love can prepare you for that.
The Playboy Murders, all new series, Monday, January 23rd at 10 on ID.
I think it's my time to find love.
I want to date younger men.
I'm as sexual as I was in my teens.
Where's all the men at?
Here we go. It just got real.
Let the chips fall where they may. Tension's gonna fly.
Everybody's dating each other, but everybody knows they're dating each other.
Your directness is getting out of hand.
When I saw that, I was like, oh, well.
If you're looking for a man, say amen.
Amen.
There are some things that I've heard.
So embarrassing.
Okay, sweetheart.
Next, I think he's a fraud, and I don't think he's a good person.
It's only gonna get worse. I ain't gonna do this with everybody.
This is too much.
Ready to Love. New episode Friday, 8/7 Central.
Do you want your man or not? Do you know your plans or not? You gonna go back home or not? You gonna claim your throne or not? Is you Khaleesi or that other name I don't remember?
Starting Friday. You gotta get with it or get lost. Ready to Love returns with new episodes, followed by the new series, All the Single Ladies.
You ladies have decided?
I am apprised. Friday at 8/7 Central. Part of Real Drama Weekends on OWN.
Postmenopausal women with HR-positive, HER2-negative metastatic breast cancer are living longer with Kisqali. So long live family time. Long live dreams. And long live you. Kisqali is a pill proven to help women live longer when taken with an aromatase inhibitor. And Kisqali helps preserve quality of life, so you're not just living, you're living well. Kisqali can cause lung problems or an abnormal heartbeat, which can lead to death. It can cause serious skin reactions, liver problems, and low white blood cell counts that may result in severe infections. Avoid grapefruit during treatment. Tell your doctor right away if you have new or worsening symptoms, including breathing problems, cough, chest pain, a change in your heartbeat, dizziness, yellowing of the skin or eyes, dark urine, tiredness, loss of appetite, abdomen pain, bleeding, bruising, fever, chills, or other symptoms of an infection, a severe or worsening rash, are or plan to become pregnant or breastfeeding. Long live hugs and kisses. Ask about Kisqali and long live life.
People gonna talk in D.C.
They're claiming the Samuels are looking to divorce.
Him and his dad are not speaking.
Wait.
Welcome.
We're gonna be out on our own little island. It's called peace.
I'm gonna go before I whip your
The
ass.
sisterhood just went out the window.
I'm back and own them.
And again, and again, and again. Love and Marriage DC returns Saturday, January 21st at 8/7 Central.
Come on, open book.
Okay, open book.
The 3-part reunion concludes.
She is the definition of the devil. You have a dark soul.
Damn, Tisha.
Damn.
You don't want to miss.
Oh, you talking about when you hacked his phone?
What the f?
Oh, I'm gonna get past it.
You are changing so many lives.
This.
I'm very concerned about you.
Love and Marriage Huntsville New Reunion Part 3, Saturday at 8/7 Central.
Well, we've barely scratched the surface here, and we're really out of time. I said I would tell you where I stand on this issue before we were done today. I stand on the data. Crime is up. Preliminary facts are clear. The spike in crime is not due to any one factor. Nothing ever is. The so-called defunding of police departments is certainly not responsible, but may have had some multi-level indirect impact. Lesser number of officers, lesser enforcement, a lesser show of force. Did those things matter? A disrespectful attitude towards police. They certainly feel it. Poor morale by officers. That's undeniable. They're less proactive. An unwillingness to expose themselves with every action under hyper scrutiny. Crime was also up in cities where police department budgets were increased. The spike is sadly not a tough mystery if you really stick with the data and focus on human nature. Stress and a sense of chaos were and are big contributors. Look, over 94 million Americans were infected with COVID-19. Over 1 million people died. 4 of the top 10 stressors in life are death of a spouse, death of a family member, major injury or illness, and loss of a job. Desperate times, desperate people do desperate things. Normal rules, even laws, seem to no longer apply, and crime can spike. You can't put it on one thing. Overlay all of this with turmoil with some very high-profile bad policing, as in Minneapolis, Minnesota, and law enforcement in general, not just a few inarguably bad cops, can be a ready target to vent. Defund those bastards, shut them down. Derek Chauvin sure as hell needed shutting down and was, along with some others around the country that did not deserve to wear the badge. But there are approximately 800,000 men and women police officers in America, most of whom were as appalled at what happened as you and I. Defund their departments and we would have chaos. No one ever said get rid of them all. Most just said retrain. because the roots of crime start in childhood, in neighborhoods, with bad or absent role models, bad crowds. They are exactly right on both counts. Retraining's great to a degree, but trying to get officers to wear too many hats can be very dangerous. Police officers are called to enforce the law. They don't make the laws. They aren't there to empathize with why someone is breaking the law. They're there to suppress criminal behavior and protect everyone involved quickly and safely. It's not always pretty. You do not want them doing therapy or analysis on the scene. You want calm, unbiased efficiency. Everyone can always do better. Cops do need constant training and measured accountability. For our part of this equation, we need to recognize the loudest voice does not always deserve the most attention. Never substitute for your own thinking that of others just because they are loud, especially social media messaging, network spin, or bullhorns in the street just because they have a slogan that rhymes. Look at the data, be critical, evaluative thinkers, hold out for independent facts, not just emotions and headlines. Cops are not the enemy, neither are they perfect. But they do get up every morning and put themselves in harm's way to keep us safe. And last year, 129 of them were killed in the line of duty, 24 in non-disputed, unprovoked attacks. Harm's way is for real. Many now feel unappreciated, even hated and vilified. Morale is at an all-time low. Resignations and retirements at an all-time high. We are literally running off the very people who stand between us and chaos. We have to own our end of this. It's not about winning an argument, it's about solving a problem. Personally, I try and never pass an officer on the sidewalk without shaking their hand and telling them how much I appreciate them doing what they do. Response? Hey, Doc, thank you for saying that. We sure don't hear it much, if at all, these days. It means a lot. Next time you pass a cop, give it a try. The data is clear. Defunding police was not an answer. When a bad officer pops up, abusive, badge-heavy, racist, trigger-happy, or all the above, I will be the first to call them out. As for the vast majority, they are mothers and fathers, sons and daughters, brothers and sisters, just like you and me. We are all in this together. We need a good intersection of law enforcement and mental health. It's not either or. Let's commit to getting the mental health part up where it needs to be. Police officers don't want to try to do those jobs. They want to support and partner with people that are trained to do it. We just need to get the funding so they can. That's my 2 cents worth. I said we just scratched the surface, and I think we need to talk more about this, and I would hope that you guys would help me continue to explore this with America and get it out, because my takeaway from this is it's not either or, and there's got to be focus on prevention, not intervention. And I couldn't agree with you more about that. And those things need to happen simultaneously. I mean, is that something that we can agree on?
Absolutely.
I'd like to thank all of my guests today. I also want to thank my studio audience for participating in this very thoughtful and important discussion. This conversation will continue on drphil.com. Did you guys find this conversation enlightening? Did you? I hope so. I really do. Now, the new season of my podcast, Mystery and Murder, is on right now. Episodes 1 through 3 are available now. I'm doing a really deep dive on the case of Sherry Papini, Supermom Missing. You can check it out for free on all podcast platforms. Also, Robin's I've Got a Secret. She doesn't keep any secrets, but talks about things that matter in making your life all that it can be. Apple Podcast, or wherever you listen to them. We will be talking about this some more. We'll see you next time. Thanks so much.